What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Word on Woodward presented by Rehmann. Empower your purpose with Rehmann. I'm Daniella Bruce. We'll soon be joined by our Regner and Carley Johnston. Wherever you're watching today, make sure you're putting in some comments, thoughts, questions, anything you want in the comments, even where you're watching from today if you're not here in the great city of Detroit. We've got a jam-packed show for you guys, as always, including an interview with Tigers catcher Jake Rogers, who's been hot lately. So we'll be excited to talk to him later in the show. Right now, I'm going to get right into the big three presented by Chevy. And of course, Art Regner is going to join me for this one. Art, I hope you're doing well today. Actually, I know you're probably doing well. Your Vegas Golden Knights, they play tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. They lead the series 1-0. And then last night, Tampa Bay tied the series with the Islanders at 1. So it's been an exciting NHL playoffs, to say the least.
Well, it really has. And, the Golden Knights are just such a deep team. I mean, you look at it, Mark Stone, who I love as a player, and obviously Max Pacioretty, they haven't really done much in this series yet, and yet they came back and stormed back and won 4-1 the other night. I would say this, that Montreal's biggest nightmare, even though we have a lot of Carey Price love going on, is the guy on the other side between the pipes for Vegas Golden Knights. Marc-Andre Fleury is a surefire Hall of Famer, and we know what he's did to the Red Wings back in 2009 when he made that incredible save on Nick. Or the Red Wings probably could have won back-to-back cups back then. But my point being is that I think that Montreal, it's a great story. I wish Jeff Petrie were healthy so he could play. Is that the Golden Knights are the best team in the league. They proved it for the whole season. I mean, they were tied with Colorado for the best record in the league and lost in the tiebreaker. This team's just too good. They're too deep. And if they play Tampa or New York, I think they're going to get by them too.
Art, you hit it on the head with the depth of this Vegas team. You saw Montreal in that first game. They were in it for a couple of periods, and then you just saw Vegas start to run away with it. And like you said, it's just the depth that Montreal can't match it. I do want to mention and shout out Cole Caulfield because he's been really good, and he scored his first playoff goal in the last game.
Well, we brought up Caulfield last week. I mean, he hadn't had a goal yet, but he had a couple of assists. This guy is an offensive juggernaut. I mean, that's what he does. He scores goals. He puts points on the score sheet, whether they're through assists or goal scoring. The problem is that they just don't have the depth, the Canadians. And, they have trouble scoring goals, and Price keeps them in every game. But when you've got a powerhouse like Vegas, and I've known Pete DeBoer, their coach, since his days with the Plymouth Whalers way back when. I mean, he is a tactician. He's an excellent coach. At this point, I kind of like my pick. I really do think that this could be Vegas's year in year 4 in existence.
Hey, it wouldn't be surprising, but if they do play Tampa Bay or New York, they're going to have a tough time with that. That series has been really good so far. The Islanders Montreal might actually be the surprise of the playoffs, but New York is right there, and they're giving Tampa Bay a run for their money already. But I think Tampa Bay came out in last night's game and showed that they were not happy with the way they played in the first game. So we'll see how the rest of that series plays out. We'll talk more about the NHL and, of course, the Red Wings later in the show. Right now, we're going to move on to our second topic of today's Big Three. The MLB Draft is coming up on July 11th, and the Tigers have the 3rd overall pick. We know that the College World Series starts this weekend, so anyone that's interested in the draft, you can get your final look at what the NCAA has to offer this year. Some of the top prospects include Vanderbilt's pitching duo Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, and then Texas right-handed pitcher Ty Madden as well. Texas, we actually have a former Tiger who played at Texas, and Cody Clemens, the second baseman, and then Alex Lang played at LSU in the College World Series. And Alex Faedo actually was a champion in the College World Series. He was a national champion with Florida, and he was named most outstanding player. So definitely keep your eye on that this weekend, along with the Tigers. Art, you can get a good look at some of these upcoming prospects.
Well, you certainly can, but, everything that I've read about the draft is, and let's be honest here, the Tigers need a shortstop. They don't have a shortstop. They just don't. And I think they're the first to admit it. And their names escape me now, but there's 2 shortstops that are projected to go in the top 4. I would be surprised if Detroit does not draft a shortstop at number 3. If both of these kids, and I'll look it up, but if both of these kids One of them is going to be available. One might be the top pick in the draft. He may go one. Kumar Rocker, who we saw against Michigan in the World Series, College World Series a few years back, he's a great pitcher, and I have Kumar Rocker love. I think, take that guy. You never have enough pitching. But from what I've read about both of these shortstops that are going to be available, I'm pretty sure the Tigers are going to nab one of those guys.
Sorry, you mentioned Kumar Rocker, his pitching duo partner for Vanderbilt. It's actually Jack Leiter, mispronounced his name there. So Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, make sure you're watching them this weekend, of course, along with some Tigers baseball. And the Tigers have made a lot of transactions as of late, some unfortunate, some exciting. Matt Boyd and Alex Lang are both on the 10-day IL. Bo Burrows and Wilson Ramos have been designated for assignment. Bullpen arms Del Pozo and Peralta got the call up. We saw Peralta get out of a jam last night, so that was exciting. And of course, the most exciting, Matt Manning will be making his major league debut on Thursday. Art, listen to this. We've been waiting for this day. We saw Casey Mize pitch last night. Tarek Skubal is going to pitch tonight. And then Matt Manning is going to pitch on Thursday. So this is Tigers fans' dream this week.
Right, and next year when Alex Faedo's recovered, he could be in the lineup too. Remember, when we talked to Casey Arthur Mize last year, those four guys are dreaming about being in, like the Atlanta Braves starting rotation way back when they dominated baseball. How baseball's such a weird game, and how has this been such an odd season for the Tigers? Remember, A.J. Hinch did not want to pitch Mize and Skubal back to back. He did not want them to go back to back. Now, of course, because of injuries, they're going back to back. Skubal pitches this afternoon, and then Matt Manning comes in and makes his major league debut the next day. That's three, still pretty young arms, still finding their way in the major leagues. But hey, if you're a Tiger fan, you've got to be into it. Matt Manning, although he had struggled a little bit, his last start was really good in Toledo. We'll see how he adjusts to being on the big stage and being against hitting against the Angels. It's I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Thursday night and seeing what Matt Manning can do. I'm just as excited for his debut as I was for Arthur's and also for Scoob's. So I'm looking forward to it.
As you should be, Art, and so should the rest of Tigers fans. It's going to be an exciting week for the Tigers. That does it for today's Big Three. I want to thank Chevy for presenting the Big Three. Chevy cares. That is why Chevy Clean dealers are committed to using enhanced vehicle cleaning measures with CDC-approved cleansers before delivering your vehicle after purchase or service. So when you're ready, you can find new roads with confidence. And now we're going to continue talking about our Detroit Tigers. We talk about Matt Manning being promoted to the big leagues. We're going to get into Catching Up with Carley, presented by Meyer. And Carley, there have been some other promotions among the Tigers organization.
That's right. As we know, Spencer Torkelson, one of Art's favorite baseball players.
Unleash the torque.
Unleash the torque. Well, they're unleashing him and promoting him to Double-A. He's joining Riley Green and Erie. Also, Dylan Dingler. So it's good to see these guys being able to make their way up the organizational ladder. We talk a lot about these offensive prospects, and three of the Tigers' top four prospects in Erie with Torkelson, Dingler, and Green. You add in Ryan Kreidler, who shares the team lead with 6 home runs. And you have 4 of Detroit's top prospects in the same lineup. So when we talk about the future is bright with the Tigers, maybe we'll be seeing them quicker than we thought in Detroit. I don't know. Art, what do you think?
Well, what's really interesting is, and we've talked about this, the Tigers have to make some tough decisions. If you would have told me at this stage of the season on the 16th of June that Wilson Ramos would be designated for assignment and Jacoby Jones would be waived or cut as well, I would have said, wow, I would have been shocked. But what it's showing is that there is a progression now. The Tigers are getting better. Some of these guys are starting to mature, and they obviously need a little bit more hitting, a little more consistent hitting. And Dylan Dingler looks like this kid could be a real find. And I hate to say that about a Buckeye, but that would be great. I would love to see Dingler assume that catching position and Jake Rogers, and, I think Eric Haas is here to stay, probably more as a utility player. He's just a good influence. And, Rogers, you got to keep him. Defensively, he's just outstanding. So I like that. The pitching's coming around. I hope Faedo, I'm fixated on Alex Faedo today for some reason. But Alex, maybe because the College World Series is coming up this weekend. He was so good in it. He can come back healthy. I mean, I like what I'm seeing. And I think you can tell. You can tell by the Tigers, just real quickly, and then I'll be quiet, I promise. But you can tell that the Tiger organization is beginning to feel it a little bit too. That fans are patient and they understand what a rebuild's all about. But it's time to start elevating the process, and let's accelerate it a little bit.
Do I get a thought, or did I take my time?
I'm sorry, Daniella.
It's really quick. I promise it's really quick. I just wanted to point out that Spencer Torkelson obviously being promoted. We expected Torkelson to be great. He's the number 1 pick in the MLB draft, but he didn't start very strong. And I think it's important to note the improvements that we've seen in him as he was playing in the West Michigan Whitecaps. He didn't start strong in spring training. He wasn't finding his bat last year, but now we're seeing those improvements, and that's a really, really good sign. So hopefully he can improve at every level.
You're right. He didn't have a hot start, and I'm sure that isn't very great to feel when you're starting your season, but it's good to know he didn't fold under pressure and he's really stepping into his own. Happy he got that promotion along with Dylan Dingler. I'm really excited to see them with Riley Green. But moving on to the NHL draft, as we see with Tampa Bay Lightning advancing, it does mean that the Wings will pick 6th and 22nd in the first round, which is very exciting. It also, I know we saw Anthony Mantha, former Red Wing, in the Stanley Cup playoffs with Washington Capitals with that Jacob Verana trade. But we were kind of, we're rooting for him. We're like, oh, we hope you do well, Anthony, but please don't do well kind of thing. So it's good to see that a lot of these trades that Steve Yzerman made for good draft picks are really helping in the long run. I mean, it doesn't really feel like, when you make those trades and it's like, oh, it could go well or it could go wrong. It's good to see that's going well for the Detroit Red Wings. Right, Art?
I agree. I think I know what's, when you look at what the Red Wings are doing right now, they're in a really good position now. I've checked with my sources in the NHL, and believe it or not, even though the Arizona or Phoenix Coyotes forfeited their pick at number 11, they're going to announce that at the draft. I mean, I guess you just want to humiliate the Coyotes all you can. With the 11th pick forfeited by, the Phoenix Coyotes, boom, with the 12th pick, whomever's picking. So technically, and this is NHL thinking, the Red Wings are going to they have the 22nd overall selection, but it's going to be the 23rd pick. So, try to figure that one out. But, they're going to get a good player. Steve knows what he's doing.
It's the 22nd player, though, right? Because
it's the 27th. It's the 22nd selection with the 23rd pick. Leave it to the NHL just to confuse you even more. but that's exactly what's going to happen. So, I think it's nuts. I think it's crazy. But, hey, that's the way it is. Red Wings are fine. Steve knows what he's doing. The Verana trade is great. Anthony Mantha got engaged, I guess. So congratulations to the BTDC Express. Love it. I know he's back in Detroit area and hanging out with the Wings. And, he was a Red Wing for a long time. I wish him nothing but the best. But, you got to look at it. The Red Wings look like they're in a pretty good position to maybe start to accelerate their rebuild process as well.
All right.
Absolutely.
I love your enthusiasm. I always love your enthusiasm, but we're going to move on. That does it for this edition of Catching Up with Carly, presented by Meyer. Of course, thank you, Carly, but you're staying with us. You're not off the hook yet. We're going to move on to Brush Street Beat, presented by McLaren Healthcare. And we've talked a lot about the Tigers already in this show, and we're going to continue that and recap last night's game in Kansas City. The Tigers come out with another win. Kansas City is not playing well right now, and the Tigers are definitely taking advantage of that. We'll start with Casey Mize, who was on the mound for the Tigers. He was not happy in the first inning after the umpire made him change his glove, you guys. I'm sure you heard that story. Apparently it was too light, but Mize, he called it crappy. We'll use that word because he has started 12 times.
Oh, yeah.
That's exact glove. So it was an interesting situation, but I don't know about you, Carly. I had a feeling that Mize was going to come out after that, and you know how he gets. He's just going to be in the zone. He's going to be PO'd, and he was going to pitch a great game.
Yeah, and that he did. AJ Hinch spoke to the media after the game and talked about how quality over quantity, although we did see a lot of pitches from Casey Mize, he liked what he saw out of Mize.
Well, I mean, first off, the quality is more important than the length. I'd take quality over length. We had plenty of pitching today. I know it doesn't feel like it, but the quality is what we need out of a starting pitcher every night. And Casey came out and had to battle. I think he got a little better as the game got along. But yeah, I mean, there was some really efficient innings in the middle. He had to fight a little bit at the beginning, finding his rhythm and delivery. And you don't see him spike like breaking balls. I mean, he's throwing 95 and 90 mile an hour spike breaking balls. I mean, he was a little amped up. But all in all, it's, if you start the day and you say, hey, he's going to pitch into the seventh and give up 3 runs, you'd feel pretty good about it. The way it went down, it's probably frustrating for him because he, a little 2-strike, Lopez fought off a hit and his night's over. But a very good start for him, and certainly the quality is what we needed.
Well, amped up he was. I know we were talking about the whole glove situation. I guess AJ Hinch said that this is the glove he's been using, though it was kind of bleached by the sun. I think that's why it was a little light. So, I mean, it is what it is. But
we'll roll with it. Whatever they say. And you heard AJ Hinch.
I guess we won't question the major league. Whatever.
But you saw that nice grab right there too. Casey Mize showing off his defensive capabilities as well. But he pitched 7 innings, like AJ Hinch said, so that's awesome. And 68 of his 103 pitches were strikes. And he also struggled a little bit in the beginning, like you heard AJ Hinch say. He had to pitch himself out of a couple of jams, but you saw him do that, which has to be a great sign.
And I think the real key is that he did pitch himself out of these jams, and he didn't give up a home run ball, or he was pitching great his last time out and gave up a 3-run homer, and I know he was pissed about that. The thing that I love about Arthur, and I really do, is that inner drive and confidence that he has, and and it's not what's going on in the game. What's going around him? I mean, obviously he got upset with the umpire. I mean, if his description is, hey, it's like charcoal. It's charcoal. I've used this. It's a charcoal glove. It's charcoal. It's gray. Maybe the sun. He kept going on and on. You could tell he was fixated on that. And he goes, and the other team didn't even complain about it. And if I'm Mike Matheny over there in the Royals dugout. Hey man, we've lost at that point 9 out of 10 games. Don't get this guy fired up. We got enough problems. We love the glove. Charcoal's our favorite color, but they didn't. And I mean, that just fixated him. And let's give I think that Kyle Funkhauser should get a save in last night's game because his mitt saved Casey's butt. It was Kyle Funkhauser's mitt. And that's a great shot of Casey because you can see him saying, hit the glove. Don't hit my face. Don't hit my face. I mean, that is a classic. That slow motion of him, you can tell he's like going, oh, I mean, but hey, athletes are athletes for a reason. Great reflexes, and as a nice catch by Casey. Thank you, Kyle Funkhauser.
Carly, on the offensive side of things for the Tigers, we saw them play pretty well again. You've got Miguel Cabrera, who had a couple RBIs in the game, and with his his double in the 6th inning, he broke another record. He's climbing up the ladder in milestones. He now has 5,001 total bases in his career, only the 22nd player in MLB history to do so. And then Jonathan Schoop, another home run, his 11th home run on the season. And in the month of June, he's hitting .354 with 6 home runs, 15 RBIs, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. These two have been really consistent. Well, Miguel Cabrera not as consistent as Jonathan Schoop, but Jonathan Schoop has been really consistent for the Tigers through this stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fantastic being able to see Miggy kind of fall back into his zone. I know he's a guy we were looking to in the past few years, but hasn't really been producing. But he has this year, and I like watching him hit all these milestones and break all these records. It's awesome to see Miggy. I love seeing him at first base too. And Schoop, I mean, come on, he's continuing his hot hitting. going 2 for 4 with a 2-run home run. Like you said, his 11th of the season. So it was really great seeing him. Also, it was great seeing the Candyman back. AJ Hinch spoke about it, and he's like, it was just so good seeing him play in that game. So let's hear what he had to say. In just a moment.
1 second.
We got it.
It's an emotional day for him coming back from, an emotional week, and getting him here and getting him back up and running is important. He's a huge part of our team. And we missed him. We missed him in the clubhouse. We missed him on the field. I mean, he's an energy provider for us, and him coming up and getting a base hit and his first time up, having to run the bases and ultimately contribute. It was a good sight to see. I mean, Candy needs baseball. We need Candy. It's nice. Everything feels normal when he's back.
Candy needs baseball. We need Candy. I love it.
Yeah, it was great to have him back, Carly. As you mentioned, of course, a tough week for him. Glad to have him back in the lineup. And we're going to wrap up Brush Street Beat right there. A big thank you to our friends at McLaren Healthcare for presenting Brush Street Beat right here on the Word on Woodward. And now we're going to look forward to tonight's game with the Bet You Didn't Know, presented by PointsBet Sportsbook, an official gaming partner of the Detroit Tigers, the Detroit Red Wings, and Little Caesars Arena. As I mentioned, we're going to look ahead. The Tigers are going for the sweep of the Kansas City Royals today with the first pitch in just about an hour and a half. A big pitching matchup tonight. We've got Tarek Skubal on the mound for the Tigers and Brady Singer on the mound for the Royals. Carly, what should we expect to see?
Well, we know the Royals have lost 10 of their last 11 games, so I'm expecting to see a Tigers win. No pressure, Tigers. But all kidding aside, it's been the pitchers who have doomed the Royals during the skid. And last week, their pitching has a combined 6.22 ERA, with opposing hitters batting .277 against them. So not really great numbers for the pitchers, and hopefully that the Tigers can capitalize on that weak spot for the Royals.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, if you look at it, I'm sorry, Daniella, were you going to say something? I don't know why I'm stepping on Daniella today. Usually it's Carly.
No, I was just going to pitch it. I was going to pitch it over to you because I know you're excited about this pitching matchup as well.
Well, yeah, I really am. Brady Singer had his way with the Tigers early in his career, and it's still early on. Remember, it came down to Arthur or Brady, who they were going to draft. One was at Auburn University, and the other one was at the University of Florida. And when Singer started out so well and Casey struggled, all we heard was, well, they could have taken Brady Singer, and they were thinking about it. Well, nothing against Brady Singer. I wish him, obviously, nothing but the best as well. But in his last 7 starts, Skubal is starting to get it. That's why these pitchers are both, statistically, they're the same. They're having very similar seasons, but one is on the rise, on the ascent, and one is on the decline. And that who's on the decline is Brady Singer. And I'm a little bit surprised about that because of the way he started out. I thought that maybe, he's one of those players that figures it out early and can remain consistent. In his last 7 games, his stats are 36 innings pitched, 45 hits given up, 40 Ks. So he still has pretty good stuff. He's striking guys out, but he's putting on a lot of base runners. His ERA in those last 7 games is 6.00. So that is obviously not good. He needs to figure it out. And, the Tigers obviously, I'm sure those guys figure we owe this kid. This kid's made us look foolish at times. So, I think, and plus they're going for a sweep. Now, Scoobs, on the other hand, Tarek Skubal, his last 3 starts were against the Yankees and the White Sox, 2 formidable teams. Chicago, the White Sox could be the best team in baseball. I mean, they could be. I mean, at least early on, they could be. He has 25 Ks in those 3 games and 17 innings pitched. The key for him, as we've always heard from Jack Morris and Peaches Petrie, who, as you saw last night on Bally's, he had Wilson back his ball. He was holding that again. It's good to see Wilson back there, Peaches. But with that said, the key is getting ahead in the count. He needs to get ahead in the count because KC, they're a patient team. They make a lot of contact. How many guys did we see fall off pitches last night? The last out, that was like a 12 pitch at bat. So, so they're going to be patient. But if he can get ahead of the count, and this is the key stat, and this is what Skubal has to do today. If he gets ahead of the count, opponents are batting 173 against him. 173, that's very, very good. So we got a pitcher on the rise. We got a pitcher on the decline. Tigers going for the sweep today with Tarek Skubal on the mound and a struggling Brady Singer. And as Carly pointed out, the Royals have lost 10 out of 11. I like the boys' chances, even though it's probably in Missouri. Missouri was like the hottest state I've ever been in my life. I had to drive to California one day. It's probably going to be like 115 out on the field. It's going to be like 115 on the field. Tigers are still going to get it done.
Carly, do you have the weather report in Missouri for us?
I don't. But what I can talk about, what I can't talk about.
yeah, whatever.
Tigers. Let me get to it.
Just spit it out, Carly.
We've had some two hot hands, Robbie Grossman and Jonathan Scope, who have been playing really well offensively in the past month. Now I can't talk. In the last 7 games, Grossman has a 406 on base percentage with 7 RBI, and Scope is batting .333 with 2 home runs, including a big one last night. So I'm really looking to these guys to capitalize on the weak pitching that the Royals have been experiencing as of late. That was so tough for me. I don't know why.
Great job, Carly. Great job. All right. Well, now that we've got through that, let's take a look at the Tigers lineup for today. As I mentioned earlier, as we all mentioned, Tarek Skubal will be on the mound for the Tigers. And notice that Miguel Cabrera not in the lineup today. That's not unusual, though. We have seen some rest days from him throughout the season. But obviously, Jeimer Candelario back in there. Jonathan Scope batting fourth. And Jeimer Candelario is actually DHing. So, yeah, the lineup's a little bit different. Jake Rogers is catching, who we're going to hear from later in the show. But the man of the hour is going to be Tarek Skubal. I think all eyes are going to be on him today.
Yeah, well, you know what? Casey Mize said something really interesting yesterday that these guys are in a competition. He pitched well, so Skubal's going to try to out-duel him today, and then Manny's going to do the same thing, even though it's his major league debut. Competition is good. There's competition on the Tigers. That's good for the Tigers.
Very good. That's very good. And remember, everybody, right when this show is over at 1 o'clock, head over to Bally Sports Detroit to watch the Tigers pregame as they take on the Royals today, the final game of the series starting at 2 p.m. That does it for Bet You Didn't Know, presented by PointsBet Sportsbook. In sports, it pays to be fast. PointsBet, an official sports betting partner of the Detroit Tigers, gives you better odds and bigger payouts, all in a fast and reliable sportsbook. Download the PointsBet app now and use the code WOW2K to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-270-7117. The Tigers will be back in town soon, everybody. And remember that Tigers tickets for the month of June are on sale now. Comerica Park is at full capacity, and they have some great series coming up with St. Louis in town on Tuesday, followed by a weekend series with the Houston Astros. Tickets start at just $10. Go to tigers.com/tickets today. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and get talking some Red Wings. It's time for Downtown Hockey Town, presented by Labatt Blue Light. We've been talking a lot about the upcoming NHL draft. Obviously, we were focused on the draft lottery. You've got the expansion draft coming up soon before the entry draft, but the Red Wings have a lot of their own business to take care of. There are a lot of restricted and unrestricted free agents on this team. And Art, I know I want to kick this off by saying a lot of the unrestricted free agents that we talk to aren't really expecting to get deals done until after the expansion draft, which is on July 21st.
Right. I mean, don't be surprised if on July 22nd, Luke Glendening signs, an extension with the Red Wings, Jonathan Bernier, Mark Stahl, some of the guys that are unrestricted. I mean, it just makes sense. I'm sure the Red Wings can talk to them. The restricted free agents, if you look at it, all those guys will eventually get deals. I think there's a point where the Red Wings have to qualify them. And I think the guys that will qualify, obviously, Verana, Ernie, Rasmussen, Tyler, Giovanni, Chase Pearson, which is really, really an interesting case because he's arbitration eligible right now. Christian Juice is no longer on the team, so Steve doesn't have to worry about that. Chalowski, Lindstrom, Hronek. I think he's going to qualify virtually all of them. Svechnikov might be the guy along with Juice that might be out. So as long as you can qualify them, and you're going to be fine. And so I expect that. I expect that to happen. I expect. Look, Steve said we're going to get deals done with the guy. Essentially, we're going to get deals done with the guys that we want, and they will do that. They have a lot of cap space, So just let him do his thing, and he's sitting up there in his office at Little Caesars Arena or home in his lavish den that we see him in sometimes on those Zoom calls. Let him just let him work his magic. Red Wings are in good hands with Steve calling the shots.
Yeah, and just to clarify on that, the unrestricted free agents probably won't be signed until after the expansion draft because of the fact they will not have to be protected at that point. If they're not signed, they don't have to be protected for the expansion draft. So again, expect July 22nd to also be a very busy day for the Red Wings. Now, Carly, when you look at some of these unrestricted free agents that we were seeing right there, of course, Luke Glendening, Bobby Ryan, Mark Stahl is another big one that might be back. And I want to also talk about the restricted free agents. You've got guys like Jacob Verana, Adam Ernie, Michael Rasmussen. Carly, those three names right there, you'd imagine they have to be back, right?
Right. I'm looking at my list right now of restricted and unrestricted free agents. And for the most part, every name I'm looking at, I think will be back with the team next season. I know we were talking to Steve after, I believe it was the draft lottery. One time that we had him, we were asking him about the free agents, and he said, odds are, for the most part, I'm going to get them all signed. That was it. So I do, obviously we know he's going to get it done, what benefits the team most. But when I'm looking at these names, I do believe 90% of them will be back. It makes me sad to think that Evgeny Svechnikov may not be one of the ones that returns. But I do wish the best for him with any opportunity he gets. I hope that it's a good one. So, again, Art pretty much took every word of that I could have said out of my mouth. So.
Sorry, Carly.
That's the answer for every single question in this show today. Art gets amped up, though. We love it, Art. We love your enthusiasm.
Steve probably has more decisions to make with the unrestricteds than he does the restricted free agents. And Bobby Ryan, is he coming back? Is Gagne coming back? Darren Helm, Val Filppula, might go to Europe, might retire. Biega is he's a good soldier, hardly played, but he's always there. That's the thing that you really have to try to figure out. What's he going to do there? How many of those guys are going to come back? I say Glendening for sure. And I think you got to bring Mark Stahl back, and Jonathan Bernier and net.
Hey, Mark Stahl wants to mentor Mo Seider, so he has to come back, right?
Right.
All right, you guys. Well, that does it for this edition of Downtown Hockeytown. Of course, we'll have all of your Red Wings news of the draft and leading up to the draft right here on the Word on Woodward. A big thank you to Labatt Blue Light for presenting Downtown Hockeytown. If you want more information on the NHL draft, make sure you check out Draft Central, also presented by Labatt Blue Light on DetroitRedWings.com. Labatt Blue Light, refreshing Canadian Pilsner. Visit your local retailer when safe to pick up some Labatt Blue Light. And now we're going to get right into our mailbag delivered to you by Little Caesars. And we've got some questions for Art Regner today. He gets to talk this whole segment, so he must be really excited. We'll get right into it, Art. I hope you're ready. I hope you're geared up. Your first question is from Max from Farmington Hills.
I should defer to Carly. Can't we just bring her back and I'll sit this one out?
Should, honestly. Okay.
I feel that bad.
Owen Powers said in an interview that he might go back to Michigan. In this strange year, do you see any prospects making the jump straight to the NHL after being drafted?
I really don't. I don't see any. The North American kids, some played college, like all the Michigan players we talked about, or the USHL where the development program is, the U18 program. They had seasons, but it wasn't really, and Michigan had COVID stops and all that. If it is, it would be a European skater for the most part, because most of their leagues played most of them played seasons, and so they might have a little seasoning. I don't think anybody in this year's draft is going to make it, although Owen Power sure looked good in the World Championship. I mean, he had 25 minutes, 26 minutes, but from what I've had, and we had Mel Pearson on last week, that here's a kid that actually wants to go to school and get an education. Yeah. And I was in college way back when. Daniella, you just recently graduated, I guess, from Michigan State. But it's a great time of year. It's a beautiful year. The years in college, and something being part of the team. Michigan should be loaded next year, so he might have some unfinished business there. The only thing I'm going to make one prediction. If there's somebody that comes out of nowhere and makes this team next year, it's that Wyatt Newpower guy that they signed from the Cleveland Monsters. That guy, that might be a guy that could be the diamond in the rough.
I just wanted to follow up with that really quick. Remember, Owen Power, like you said, unfinished business. They haven't been able to play in the tournament, so he hasn't had that experience in the NCAA tournament. And I'm sure that's something he really wants to do as a Wolverine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 2 years now, Michigan hasn't played. I mean, obviously they just canceled the season 2 years ago, and then last year, I don't know, I don't even know I think they were in North Dakota for the tournament, and they think they're going to play Minnesota Duluth the next day, and lo and behold, they got to get on a plane and fly right back to Ann Arbor. So it's been rough. COVID has really affected Michigan's athletic program, but I just don't see it. It's just too uneasy of a year. And I think they're just too unsettled. I think for their development, you almost want them to stay in the leagues that they're in, unless they're super player. And the only guy that I think that could be that super player could be maybe Owen Power based on what he did at the World Championship. But again, that's a short sample size. It's a lot different playing in a tournament for a couple of weeks than it is playing an 82 NHL game schedule.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it works out, but I'm with you. I don't think this is the year that we're going to see anyone make the jump directly to an NHL roster. We're going to move on to your second question, Art. This one is Tigers related. Now, keep your expectations tempered, Art, okay? Don't get everyone too overexcited. What are your expectations for Matt Manning's major league debut on Thursday? That is from Thomas in Waterford.
Well, I guess there is a part deep down in me saying, just don't get hurt. I know you're going to be amped up, because
rightfully so with the way it's been going for the Tigers lately.
Exactly. That's my point. The way it's been going for the Tigers, they're like that old spirit of '76. 4th of July coming up. I think people know what that is. The flute and the drum and all. I mean, those guys have been in battle. You can tell. I mean, that's kind of what the Tigers are right now. They're kind of there've been a lot of injuries. So what I expect is I hope that he can go 5 innings. 5 good, solid innings. Maybe he gives up a run or two, gets a few strikeouts, is under control. But I think even by his own admission, he has to take this, and I think the Tigers have to take this. And, Chris Fetter and A.J. Hinch, and they have to look at this as a learning experience for him. The Matt Manning that we're going to see tomorrow night against the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, whatever they're called now, what we see is just going to be a scratch of the surface of where he really will be after he gets, used to pitching in the major leagues. I don't have high expectations. I don't have low expectations. I have realistic expectations. If he can, and that's asking a lot, but if he could pitch a solid 5 innings, and the Tigers can continue this win streak if they win today, who knows? Maybe get a little bit of confidence, feel good about himself. But it's going to be rough. It's that first inning is the key. What does he do in that first inning? If he can get out of that rather unscathed, but if he has control problems or hits a batter, which every Tiger pitcher seems to at least hit one guy a game, and maybe we can, but again, a lot of these guys don't even move. They're just, it hit my sleeve up. It hit my sleeve. Well, I guess, yeah. Well, what do you mean I stuck my head in front of the ball? I was swinging. It hit me.
You're getting
but anyway,
I'm just
saying They're realistically just don't embarrass yourself.
Okay. He's not going to. This is the week of Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, and Matt Manning. I love it. So we're really excited to see what Matt Manning does in his major league debut tomorrow night. That does it for the mailbag, delivered to you by Little Caesars. Little Caesars proudly introduces their hot and ready pepperoni cheeser. You get a large pizza topped with classic pepperoni, fresh mozzarella, and a toasted Parmesan and Asiago cheese crust for just $7. Try our no-contact pizza portal or delivery from Little Caesars. And now I'm going to toss it over to Art Regner, who was able to catch up with Tigers catcher Jake Rogers yesterday.
Thank you, Daniella. This time for the headliner presented by Miller Lite, and our guest is Tigers catcher, sometimes pitcher. Who knows with the way the injuries are going. Jake Rogers joins us. Jake, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I just want to get an overview from your perspective, because I'm sure it's going to be a unique perspective. How would you characterize this season for the Tigers and for you personally? Because it seems like a very bizarre year.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man. We've kind of been hit a little bit with the injury bug, and guys are kind of going down a little bit. But the guys' morale is still up. Guys are still having fun out here and having fun playing this beautiful game we all love, and they're making the most of it for sure.
I don't know if it was a quote attributed to you or somebody was talking to you that said Jake Rogers at 26 years old is still a very, very young man. And I mean, I have shirts older than 26. This might be one of them. But with that said, they said that Jake said it's now or never, almost, that you knew when I get my chance at the big leagues, I got to make the most of it. Is that exactly how you do feel approaching this year?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's always like that. When you come up here, you want to make a difference. You want to stick, and you want to help the team win in any way. So, I knew getting called back up, it was my opportunity to show what I could do and hopefully stay up here and help this club win.
How much have you and Eric Haas, because you have kind of similar roads and similar paths, how have you been able to rely on each other? I would bet you guys have to be pretty tight, even though you're in competition with one another.
Yeah. I mean, me and Haas get along so well. We're always kind of joking around and messing around, and we're big movie quoters, so we're always kind of quoting movies and all sorts of stuff. So, we always have fun. We have a good time. We spent a lot of time together, played against him a lot, and spent a lot of time with him at the alternate site last year. And so me and Haas, we've been through it together, and it's kind of a cool thing, But we get along really well, and we always have fun.
Is there one particular movie that you find yourself quoting more than others?
We always go for the Will Ferrell movies. Last night, after the win, we were quoting Dodgeball. We're big comedy movie guys, so we're always kind of quoting. It just kind of depends on the situation. Haas is better at it than me. He'll throw out a quote, just talking, and then I'll get it, and then we'll start going back and forth. But it's fun.
Do you have a favorite quote that you say that you can recall right now? I mean, I hate to put you on the spot.
No. I mean, like I said, it kind of depends on the situation. Different quotes come out, different movies come out, and then, sometimes he'll stump me and he'll say a quote, and I'll be like, "What movie is that from?" And then I'll be like, "Oh, okay," and then we'll go back and forth. So it's always good banter.
You talked about your relationship with Haas being so good. You and AJ seem to have this real unique relationship. Is that just the catcher thing going on, the mindset of a catcher, that you two are, really seem to be in sync?
Yeah, we have a good relationship. He gets on me sometimes, and he's yelled at me a few times, but it's nothing that's never happened before. I know he means well. I know he wants the best for us and for the team. So, when he yells, I listen, and I always kind of ask him situations during the dugout. He's an ex-catcher. He's been through what I've been through. Which is kind of it's always cool. So it's always nice to have that friendly, back and forth. And if he needs to yell at me, he knows I'll take it well, and we'll talk about it the next day. He'll sit me down, and we'll go through it. So it's always good to have, and our relationship has been good so far, and hopefully we can keep building on it and help me learn.
You know, being a catcher, and I know you call a great game, and defensively, I tell everybody, I think Jake Rogers could be flat on his back and throw a runner out at second who has a head start. That defensive prowess that you have, because I knew when the Tigers traded for you, everybody knew that you were a major league catcher, you know, much like Derek Hill's a center fielder, major league center fielder. Where does that come from? I mean, have you always had the arm? Was that the position you always gravitated to?
You know, like everybody growing up, I was a shortstop. I played kind of everywhere growing up. I caught a little bit young, you know, like young, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, kind of just starting up. But it kind of stuck when I was 12, 13. I was pretty good back there. You know, I was athletic. I could handle everybody and all the pitches and stuff like that. So it kind of stuck towards then. You know, I when I was in high school, I was always pretty quick with the transfers, you know, getting, you know, being fairly accurate to second base. And I didn't really have the arm strength until I got in college. And I had a coach tell me one day, he's like, man, I was a freshman. I just got into school and we had practice one day. He's like, man, you ever try throwing hard? You know, because I would always, you know, warm up loose and throw a couple and that was it. He's like, well, you got to throw hard in order to throw harder. So I started really, you know, long tossing and taking it seriously. I've always kind of done bands and stuff to kind of, you know, get a good arm, you know, and take care of it. And it just kind of blossomed and, you know, maturity and everything kind of fell into place and arm came what it is today.
Well, you know, it is a pleasure to watch you call a game too. I mean, how important is that? I know that, you know, obviously you have a close relationship with the starters. Some of them you know, you've played with for a number of years in the minor leagues. But do you have to have a different relationship with a starter than as opposed to a bullpen guy, or are pitchers just pitchers?
You know, they're all different. They all have their own little personalities. They all kind of, you know, just they're all different, you know, and then, you know, going out to talk to guys in the mound, you know, whether it's a starter or a reliever, whether it's Casey or Boyd or Scoob, they're all different. You know, I'm kind of the same, you know, personality wise when I go out there, but, you know, I might say something different to each guy. So, you know, I mean, me calling the game, that's the most important, you know. I mean, obviously I take pride in keeping the score low and you know, calling good pitches and hopefully, you know, letting that, you know, pitcher up there trust me and being comfortable.
Obviously Casey Mize and Tarek Skubal are young pitchers, but they seem to, you know, starting to begin to find their groove. How fulfilling is that for you? Because obviously these are guys that you're pretty tight with.
Yeah. I want to see all the guys succeed. You know, that's the one thing. You know, I want to see everybody up here, you know, go out and play their best and succeed. You know, that's what makes this game beautiful. You know, and I want to help the team win. I know when those guys are going good, we're going good. You know, they're giving us a chance to win and then they're, you know, putting trust in our bats to score some runs. So yeah, it makes me feel really good that they're doing well, and I hope you know, they can keep going and I can help them anyway.
You know, I have to ask you about the mustache, and, you know, I look at it, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but Detroit did have a National League team. The Detroit Wolverines, some say they were called the Creams, whatever that was, but from 1881 to 1887, they won the National League or the pre-World Series. So they were a legitimate baseball team. With that mustache, and hear me out on this, I think what it would really be good is, you know, instead you got to find one of those 1880 ball caps that they used to wear, not kind of the skull caps that you guys wear, those round ones, you know, with, I don't know, with a D on it. And, you know, the bill was a little straighter, and you should take an old tin type photograph. You know, that's what I guess they used to be on tin, very old, like in 1880. And you can tell people that your great grandfather, Jake Rogers the First, played for the Detroit Wolverines, and I bet you people would buy that story. That's how classic you're.
I know. I'm all in for it. When we set it up, I'll get it done.
No, seriously, you know, that old-fashioned cap. I mean, you're kind of a throwback anyway. You know, you're kind of loose, but you're serious. You know, I think you know, you've got a really great personality. I really think you should do that. Detroit Wolverines. We got to find a ball cap that they used to wear if they're around. We'll go to the Detroit Historical Museum. We got to get a tin type photograph. Tell them, everyone, that's your great grandfather. I think I figured it out. That would be 3 generations ago. Yeah. So that would be your great grandfather.
Yeah, we'll have to do it. I'm in. I'm all in.
All right, good. I'm glad you are. And finally, this season, everything that's happening, everything that's going on, Tigers are fun to watch. They really are. I mean, there's been some blowouts, but that happens in professional sport.
Right.
What would you like to see? How would you like to see this season kind of play itself out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously keep winning. That's what we strive to do every day. We come to the park. We want to win, and guys, pitchers have been making the most of their opportunities and going out there and throwing well, and that's what I want to see, and I'm sure everybody wants to see. And if they're doing well, the hitters are a little bit more relaxed, and they don't have to, they can go up there and trust themselves and kind of do what they've been prepared for, all day, all year, and their whole lives, and if pitchers are going well, hitters are going to follow right in suit, and we'll win some ball games.
All right, Jake Rogers, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Really appreciate it. Look forward to watching you play for the Tigers for many, many years. And whether your great-great-great-great-grandfather played for the Detroit Wolverines or not, I know they all have to be very, very proud of what you're accomplishing here at the Major League level. Thanks for joining us on the Headliner today.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Headliner presented by Miller Lite. It is the original light beer. It's only 90 calories, tastes great, and it is available for delivery. Daniella, back to you.
Thank you, Art. Great to hear from Tigers catcher Jake Rogers. Now we're going to get into Let's Socialize, presented by AAA. And of course, we're going to bring Carley back for Let's Socialize. And she has been all over the social media channels from last Wednesday, over the weekend, and up until now. So Charlie, oh my gosh, I just called you my dog's name.
There we go. Charlie Johnson.
Oh man, I do call my dog Carly sometimes too, though. So there's, I guess. Yeah.
Likely, do you believe that Carly likely story, Danielle? A likely story.
Well, I really do. Like after this show, I will probably call her Carly at least once, just out of habit.
Hey, you know what? If you're calling me your cute. Oh my God. All right. I'm just going to get into Let's Socialize because this is just not going well for me. All right. We saw the Tigers do a little crossover with the NBA. The Tigers players wore some NBA jerseys, most notably Jake Rogers, who also posted the picture on his social media with Robbie Grossman and said, "No, I am not in fact wearing a white undershirt. That is just a bad tan line." So we got to see people like Chris Fetter and Tarek Skubal, who we saw there, throw on their, even AJ Hinch got in it with the nice retro Detroit. Oh my gosh, I think I had that jersey growing up. Nice, Miggy. Anywho, it was really cool seeing a little bit of a crossover, especially with the NBA playoffs going on. Hopefully for next homestand, maybe we'll see some NHL jerseys. We'll see. Second, speaking of NHL, Joe Veleno, but not NHL, Worlds. I don't know. We won T1 gold with Team Canada in the Worlds, and he finally got that gorgeous ring. Nice little diamond ring for Joe Veleno for the IIHF Worlds, winning gold with Team Canada, like I said. And last but not least, Art, I think this is for you. Will McGee on Tigers YouTube had a great question where he said that instead of unleash the torque, shouldn't it be uncork the torque?
Well, I guess it's just a matter of how you view it. I mean, I don't uncork the torque is fine because it rhymes. I get where he's going with that, but unleash the torque to me just sounds more intimidating. Uncork, it's like, like you have a bottle of wine, let's uncork it, boom, or champagne or something. I mean, unleashing is just fierce sounding. It's just like
I've seen some pretty intense champagne uncorkings and everything.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
with that.
Well, you've got to do it right. I'm good with champagne. Trust me, I can definitely do that. I mean, but Torque, I'm happy for him. He's starting to come into his own. Again, first of all, I just want to say, don't you think that the Whitecaps logo is the best? I just love that wave or tsunami with a baseball in the middle of it. I love that logo. I love the Traverse City Cherry Spitters too, or whatever they're called. I really want to say something really, really quickly though, because I had written it down and their names forgotten me. Look at that guy. Look at that. Unleash the torque. Uncork the torque. Just do it. Do it. Do it. But Jordan Lawler and Marcelo Mayer are the two shortstop prospects. Tigers are going to get one of them. If Lawler is available at 3, they'll take him. He's from Dallas. The Rangers are going to take him. Marcelo Mayer is the guy, high schooler from California, who the Tigers are going to take a shortstop. If one of those two guys is available at 3, they're going to take it.
Apparently,
I said that earlier. It's fun because I knew their names, and then it just came to me.
Oh, I got it now. I see what you're doing here.
All right. Good work, team.
Are we done?
Yeah, that's it.
I was excited for more. I was like, wait, I need more.
What else is Charlie going to say?
That's all I have for Let's Socialize.
All right. Well, thank you, Carly/Charlie. We really appreciate it. That does it for Let's Socialize. Big thank you to AAA. AAA says thank you with free roadside assistance for first responders and healthcare workers fighting to defeat COVID-19. You protect us by going to work every day. Let AAA protect you on the way there and back. If you happen to miss anything in today's show or any of our past shows, make sure you're checking out the Word on Woodward YouTube page where you can see all of our interviews dating back from day one all the way through now. Or, of course, you can listen to the show as a podcast on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or Spotify. The Tigers take on the Royals for the last game of the series. They're going for the sweep in just about an hour. Head over to Bally Sports Detroit for pregame coverage as soon as we wrap up here, and we'll be back next week with the Word on Woodward coming to you on Wednesday, starting at 11 a.m., right where you're watching right now. Red Wings social media channels, Tigers social media channels, and of course, their websites. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll see you next week.